Hello guys, welcome back. And today's project is going to be about designing a big LED wall. And it should look something like this. Basically the goal is to put a whole bunch of LEDs into these tiny spaces right here. The goal is to have some sort of screensaver, which will basically be a game of life simulation, for example, and also at the same time have a playable snake game. And first of all, I want to mention that this is not my own idea, but in fact I got this idea from Carrie KH, who, to be honest, does some great YouTube videos, so please go check him out if you haven't seen him already. With that out of the way, let's get started! So I fired up FreeCAD and designed these little plastic thingies. They also are going to have some holes to fit the wires through them. And actually the reason why I made them so thin is because, well, we basically take the print time of one of these and multiply it by 64, since we need 64 of these ones. And the next challenge is going to be the wiring. So what we're going to use for this is we're going to use the power of multiplexing. Well, obviously, multiplexing basically means we're going to take a grid of wires and in some specific pattern connect some lamps to them. And next we're going to set one of these pins to high and one of these pins to low. So what that does, basically it creates a potential difference which will result in a voltage. And if you don't know what that means, basically it means that the LED will light up. So that means for 64 LEDs we are going to need 16 outputs. So obviously we're going to use D3 through 12, also pin 13. We're also going to use a O through 5. So we're going to have to figure a way out to make a voltage divider and have a specific resistor for each button. But let's think about this later. And well, the coding itself was a pretty tedious process, and basically we just make use of the tri-state logic on microcontrollers. And if you don't know what that means, it means that one pin can either be high, low or high impedance, which means that we're practically disconnecting one specific row of the whole circuit. The next thing was the Buttonpet, and as mentioned before, we can't use 4 of the input pins, since sadly they are already occupied. So I came up with a great plan and I forged this incredible schematic, which basically makes it possible to use 4 buttons with just 2 wires. Yeah, I mean simple voltage divider logic. And let me tell you, the process of making this damn thing took me over an hour. I also made this gold ingot, because I was bored. Just kidding, it's the keypad. And of course I also made some buttons. And with the help of a little hot glue, everything came together quite nicely. The next thing was the LEDs. When the LEDs finally arrived, I noticed 2 things. First of all, my holder for them was too small. And also, the resistors they came with were labeled red and blue, which means that they sent me the wrong ones. When I tried them out, I was actually amazed by how bright they were. And I mean, it's not a bad thing, obviously. And after designing a new LED holder, I was ready to go into mass production. Next, I did some cleaning and some sanding, and I was almost ready to go. According to the information on the eBay page, the voltage of the LEDs is around 3.1 volts. The rated current is about 20 milliamps. So that suggests a 295 ohms resistor. The next real I felt
would be 330 ohms, but since I want them to last longer and not push its limits, I just stick to 390 ohms.
The assembly was, you guessed it, rather tedious. I had to label and glue the parts. The LEDs were bent, tested and also glued. And at some point the whole thing came together. The soldering turned out to be really easy, but quite time consuming. Nevertheless, I was done in just 20 minutes. And the first test of all the LEDs turned out to be successful. It was now time for the remaining parts. I designed an encasing for the Arduino. Next I took a wooden plate, drilled some holes into it, mounted the entire matrix, and added the Arduino and the keypad. A first test with only one LED turned out to be very successful and also very bright. I then did some more coding, which I don't have any footage of, so I'm just showing you this picture right here. Eventually I got the timing right, and I made a Hello World program, which looked like this. In a slow motion recording you can see how the lines are actually scanned. I also made this program, which displays a cube which is growing bigger and smaller. It really looks quite nice. And from this point, basically anything is possible. So if you're interested, let me know, and I will post a follow-up video where I will implement all the things that I mentioned at the beginning. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!